What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So starting this upcoming week, you're going to hear everyone and their dog probably mention the word interest rate probably about a good 4 or 5 times because on Wednesday the 20th you do see Fed interest rate decision. Even though this time around I don't anticipate anything coming from it, so there's not going to be any rate hike, nor is there any going to be cuts. But what is going to be said afterwards, that's going to really shake the market, right? So right now the market is hoping that there's going to be July cuts. Originally, there was a lot of optimism about May. Of course, with a lot of the data that's been coming out, I think people have started to rule that out. So at this stage in the game, people are now assuming that it is going to be in July. Even in SoFi's case, based on their Q4 earnings, they were really projecting roughly around 4 rate cuts, as you can kind of see Chris saying right here. Aside from that though, there's been a lot of analysts saying that there's not going to be any cuts close to the elections, so that does limit it to most likely, assuming July, then maybe only 2, possibly 3 best case scenario. So right now I think this upcoming week will have a little bit more of a better image on what might be coming in the following months. Of course, they'll be very much dependent on a lot of the data, so no doubtably Powell will kind of mention that. We'll be watching the data and as what he usually does say. But this upcoming week will be a crazy roller coaster. And even over the weekend, on a side note, you do see a lot of cryptocurrencies starting to pull back. So people's appetite for risk has started to kind of go down. And plus, I kind of brought up, I believe it was a couple of days ago, there was all-time record highs kind of rotation into money markets. So $6+ trillion right now in money markets. So people's appetite for risk is very low. So once again, this is why you do see a lot less big money essentially getting into SoFi. And that's been something I've been saying over the last little bit, because AI and shorts have been really dictating exactly where SoFi has been going. And for this upcoming week, there isn't anything planned under SoFi, so they're not participating in any conferences or anything like that. And plus, coming from a company standpoint, there is no companies unveiling their earnings this upcoming week that will disrupt the broader market. So in reality, this whole week is going to be more so, especially the beginning part, due to the technicals, and then depending on the data on Wednesday, that's going to really drive the market either higher, lower, to the side, loop-de-loop, all over the place. Starting on Monday though, you are going to see a nice pop up in the stock price, because luckily enough it did close above $7 on Friday. So that does mean that the $7 strike prices and below are all going to be exercised, meaning market makers are going to be buying that on the open market, whether it be pre-market or during the trading day. But just at that $7 strike price, there's roughly about $1.7 million in shares equivalent there. So that should be a nice pop up first thing. And so aside from that though, looking on the actual technicals, things are looking fairly good. So I'll go over some data points, and surprisingly enough, even though I did do a video saying that I will be buying probably the mid to low 6s next, which of course is where it shows the technicals pointing to, but I did buy on Friday. So maybe I'm a hypocrite, I don't know. So I bought under 2 different accounts. Well, one knowingly under Wealthsimple, the second one was under Interactive Brokers, and that is because I did sell $7.50 strike puts that expired today. So obviously those were exercised, so I did get 1,000 additional shares as of that. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that overall, even though it might not necessarily be the bottom. I feel like on Monday there might be a nice pick-me-up. So again, I'm going to talk on that. So with it closing at $7.03, it is trading between this S3 and this S2. So $6.81 is a very strong support, so you'll want to watch for that to hold, and then vice versa, $7.47 is going to be that next strong resistance. Didn't come anywhere close to this S3 on Friday, so of course that's kind of a good thing, but at the same time, any stock right now that is trading between the S3 and the S2 does have something fundamentally wrong with it. And I personally do not feel SoFi has anything wrong with the fundamental business whatsoever. Yes, the technicals were due for a pullback and there's some other external situations that's happening right now, but nothing really to hate on SoFi and to say that it's a sell or whatever else. And this is why at the same time you're seeing a lot of analysts giving still fairly optimistic ratings. So all in all, SoFi is definitely very undervalued. So of course that could really help it going into this upcoming week, especially once it's dependent on the data points and everything. So going into this upcoming week, so it is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. Looking at stochastic, you do see it at 9. So once again, that is just mind-blowingly oversold. So if there's a good piece of news that does come out specific to SoFi or the broader market, aka on Wednesday, this is where you'll see a rush of value investors getting in. But despite that though, you do see a deviation, so red line above the white, showing a bearish sentiment. Number of retail investors have been getting out over the last little bit, and that's ever since it looks like the 27th, give or take. And so going into this upcoming week, I feel like the technicals are due for a quick rally higher. Once again, 717 is going to be a very strong resistance aside from that 747. And going for this upcoming week, looking at the options at least, so it looks free and clear up to around the 750. This is where you do see a lot of walls of resistance. Once again, will be brought on by shorts and market makers and all the other fun jazz. So for this upcoming week, you do see 22,000 in open interest at the 750 strike price, 41 at the 8, 10 at the 850, and then 37 at the 9. So of course, those are some pretty heavy walls, and usually with the exception of Friday, SoFi does struggle with a lot of these resistance points. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. As far as shorts though, 18.74% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 171.25 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 1.46%. It's been a good week or so since I've seen the cost to borrow minimum be negative. So whatever broker is actually doing that and was paying people to short SoFi, maybe they're taking a break. I'm not really sure. Ortex has been glitching with SoFi, so it doesn't actually show that much change, but I've been informed by Ortex when I did email them that I think it's just 2 digits or something, some algorithm behind the scenes. So on Friday, shorts did increase 780,000. So all in all, kind of a drop in the bucket if you think about it, considering, like I said, 171.25 million shares. But nonetheless, they have been really increasing over the last little bit, as you can kind of see right here based on the chart. So it is getting back to kind of the SPAC level SoFi where it was at 21 to 22% short interest. So very interesting. But I do disagree with a lot of the individuals out there. I don't see SoFi being a squeeze play because there isn't anything coming out that is going to be a surprise, because in their Q4 earnings, they kind of laid out fundamentally what is going to be done. Of course, they're kind of transitioning where they're obtaining revenue in 2024 from, but still nothing really a crazy catalyst that would force shorts to close out their positions. But then again, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying over the last little bit? Have you been selling? Are you waiting for the low 6s to come, or do you think that 7s are going to come? So what's your thoughts? And when it comes down to the rates for this upcoming week, do you think there's going to be any scary, like hawkish tones that's going to come from that? Or do you think it's going to be more optimistic? Keep in mind, a lot of the data that's been coming out for February has been negative, whereas the Feds was anticipating for that to be positive. So just keep that in mind. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend, and I appreciate all of you watching.